Hey everybody, welcome to Someone Else's Shoes. I'm your host, J.R. Supa. This week, my guests are two former high school classmates of mine, recovering addicts, and they have found that having a podcast has been one of the things that have really helped them stay sober for a number of years now. So please help me welcome the hosts of the 2DopeLess Hope Fiends Podcast, Mike Piro and Mike Passero. Hey guys, how we doing?
JR.
We are doing great, and thanks for that fucking intro. That was amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I have goosebumps. You can see them, right?
Yeah, Robin
that just
Williams'
gave me
arms.
goosebumps,
I
dude.
can
That was
see
such a
it, dude.
great intro. That was fucking awesome. Thank you
my
for those
God.
kind words.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
I mean,
allowed
you
to-
guys have...
We're
you
allowed
guys
to
have done
swear. I'm
great.
sorry, I don't want to interrupt. We can curse on here, right? I don't
Yes,
know.
you can say
All right,
anything
man,
you
just
want.
making sure,
Fuck,
dude.
shit.
We
Yes.
we get pretty nasty on our podcast, so I just wanted to make sure that we're allowed to curse on your podcast, man.
You are absolutely allowed to curse as long as it's nothing
Yeah.
that's going to get anybody canceled.
Say no more.
Love it.
Say
Love
no
it.
more.
Love it.
We think about that every week.
Love it.
Yes. Fuck shit ass is no problem.
Okay.
As we go down the line, then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, all right.
It can get weird. We
Yeah,
might get a little weird. So
you get
just
a
be
little weird
prepared.
in here.
So you guys have been doing a podcast for how many years now?
October will be 6.
It'll be 6 years in October. Yeah.
And you have, over 400 episodes, right?
We got 410. We just released the 410th episode.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had a number of guests on. We've just covered a lot of shit. It's mostly movies.
Yeah.
A little bit of music, and then pop culture stuff with addiction sprinkled in all the way throughout. And we started another podcast called Fiends Watch, which is strictly movie reviews.
Okay.
And we started filming that, putting that on YouTube about a year ago,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yep.
And that's so we got two podcasts. One is strictly movie reviews. The other one is our personal lives and pop culture shit. So, yeah, that's what we focus on. Besides doing lines every night, right?
Doing lines like movie lines.
Movie lines every night.
Nah,
Movie lines
We
every
gotta
night.
be very clear, dude.
That's what
In
we
a
do.
show about recovering from addiction.
movie lines.
Yep. There
I
we
would
go.
definitely specify what lines
Exactly.
we're doing.
Exactly.
And in the past, like, you know, he mentioned pretty much everything we did. There was always like the underlying sprinkle of addiction. So whether we, you know, on a random episode, we'll give our clean count, which will tell the listeners how many days we're in, how many days sober we're in.
Yep.
Or we've interviewed people. We've interviewed someone that Mikey actually went to school with who was in recovery
Yep.
and like
Addiction counselors we've
addiction
interviewed.
counselors.
A number of people who, yeah, like you said, were in recovery that you knew. Yeah, so addiction is definitely sprinkled in throughout, and that was like why we kind of started doing the podcast. Was because we were best friends in high school, got addicted to drugs, and we met back up after I moved back here from California, and we were like, oh shit, let's start a podcast. And it wasn't mainly just to talk about addiction. It was, we looked at it as like, oh, we're both early in recovery and being clean. Let's just do this and focus on it. And we love movies and we love pop culture. So let's just do this as something to keep our minds busy while we were fresh into being clean. I was only a couple months into being clean.
Right.
So it wasn't like, let's start a podcast to strictly talk about addiction, because that people will probably kill themselves if that's a podcast, because how much can you, like, you just can't talk about addiction for 2 hours every week. It's just, it's so depressing.
Right.
So it's always been an overlying thing, as Pat said, but it was never the main focus. It was the reason why we started, but it wasn't the focus of the podcast.
So the podcast kind of became your outlet.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And the big thing is, too, like, we both tried AA, which, you know, Alcohol's Anonymous, and NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous. A lot of it kind of starts when you're in rehab. They'll have you do you'll go to some meetings and stuff, and then they want you to do what's called 90 and 90 after,
Yep.
which is 90 meetings in 90 days when you're out of rehab. So I did that for about 60 days. And now, keep in mind, at this time, when I'm in Stanford, Mikey's in California, and like, we're talking. He knew I just got clean, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on with him out there. I assumed.
I feel like we're jumping. We need to give him a little bit of context. He got clean.
Yeah, sure.
How long before me? Almost 2 years.
Yeah,
right?
it was February 4th, 2012. So
And I'm April 9, 2014. So he got clean 2 years before me.
Right.
So he was living this clean life while I was still using heavily. That was probably the last 2 years were the heaviest I was using drugs. So it's not like we got together and said, hey, man, let's get clean together and start a podcast, right? It just wasn't that. So he was in it kind of by himself before I even went to rehab and got clean. So I just wanted to say that.
Oh, no, thanks for, I mean, yeah, it is important to kind of to gauge that because I've had people like even close family members be like, oh, so you and Mike like got clean together?
Yeah, dude, we held hands the whole time and just,
and I was like, no. I was like, to be honest, and I've said it to some of our friends too. Like when I got clean and I found out that he was coming home, I was so nervous to actually see him. Yeah, and it's not like a thing where I was like nervous if he was going to be using. I wasn't worried that he was going to be using if I saw him. I knew that he was clean, or I was assuming he was clean, hoping he was clean. But I was just nervous. I was going to be like, well, how am I going to act around someone who we used to fucking use together? We used to try to go cop together. We used to do a lot of things together while we were years before we even started doing like actual hard drugs. But then we used to just do hard drugs together. So it was just like a weird thing. And then it's so funny, JR. It's like we met up with a bunch of people and it just went right back to our old ways. And 2 months later, we started doing the show. It was just all the worries went away after about 5 minutes, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like a weight off my shoulders."
Absolutely. Long story short, when it comes to the podcast and addiction, this is how we're gonna wrap a bow on the podcast and addiction shit. Is that me and him, like he said. Soltini, our friend Dave Soltini. Like, I wish we could edit him a picture of him coming over and like, hey, Dave Soltini.
I can pull something off of the internet and just throw it in.
I should say, yeah. He came home from California, and I had been home for like 4 or 5 months, and that's when we met up. And a month or two later, that's when we started the podcast. And ever since then, it's we just haven't even looked back. None of us have relapsed. We haven't stopped doing the podcast. We haven't. It's went by 5 years. Went by so fast, almost 6. But I'm not gonna say it saved our life. What I will say though is it saved our friendship. I'll tell you that much for sure. Is that like we were best friends in high school and like we drifted apart because I moved away and we were both addicted to drugs. But doing this podcast and getting clean, like it's my best friend right now, right? It's like, and you always want that like that partner as like a friend. Like you need a really good friend in life. And I'm glad that I came home and he was clean and we met up and the sequence of events happened. We started the podcast and now it's 5-6 years down the road and we're still fucking doing it, which is something that I never would have thought. So, so that's how I think the podcast and addiction intertwines.
I just wanted to wrap up the addiction part of my side by saying
tying another bow.
That's his bow, dude. Here's my bow over here. I just wanted to point out the reason why I brought up the whole 90 and 90 and NA and AA is that I couldn't fucking stand it after a while. And it was like, I like the idea of it, but I just remember being like, man, I'm actually running into way more people that are high by going to some of these meetings. And then it was like, this was such a good vent that it just replaced the idea of NAAA, where it was like, we're going to meet up. And again, there were times we were doing fucking 3 episodes a week. Right? There's some nights we would. There's some weeks we do 3 episodes, 3 nights a week, and we space them out. So it just became like such a fucking habit. And like now I know we do Wednesdays and stuff. It's part of my life. It's part of his life. I fucking hate him. Yeah, I hate him but too. I love him.
I don't even think JR has asked the question yet. That's the funniest part of this whole podcast.
What question?
I don't even think he's asked a question yet is what I'm trying to say. I know. That's why I'm like, we went on a fucking rant, bro.
I thought you said he hasn't asked the question.
No,
are you guys?
He hasn't asked one question yet. He goes, they've started a podcast 5 years ago and whatever. And then we just like, yeah, so you know what? It's our show and we're going to go on a rant for 5 minutes. So cut any of that shit down because we fucking
Dude, I told you guys at the beginning of this, I'm just here to let you talk. I'll reel it in. I'll reel it in if we go off the rails.
But you're the host. Like, you got to at least, we got to at least let you ask a question. We just went off with it, dude. I apologize for that.
It's only been like maybe 5 minutes into the show or whatever, so
I apologize.
It's all good. Number one. Cool. Number two, you both said you were putting a bow on it, so I figured it was winding down.
Good point, dude.
I tried to put a fucking bow. This motherfucker, you know what, dude? I'm going to come in. I'm going to put another bow on that motherfucker.
Well, to be honest, I started a story that got interrupted.
There was no question.
So anyway,
okay, sorry.
All right, so let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, so for both of you guys, when did you I guess, I mean, it's hard to say, like, when did you become addicted? Because
Yeah.
there could have been so many different, potentially, substances that you might have experimented with or whatever the case may be. So maybe just talk about your journey into becoming addicted.
Okay. Can I just this would be my suggestion. I think the best way to do this, bro, is to go back and forth.
Sure.
So not for one of us to tell our entire story and the other
Sure.
person. I think it should just be like back and forth. How did I start? How did you start? Right? And
Not a
just go
problem.
back and forth.
Whatever works for you guys is cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think I'll get bored when he starts talking. He'll get bored when I start talking. And
I'm gonna
then-
fall asleep if he goes for 20
We're
minutes.
just gonna be fucking out.
I mean, that
No.
would also be kind of funny and great content.
It would be.
I just
I'd
post a
slumped
picture
over
of
in my
Mike
chair.
Francesa next to you, and
Oh, dude, that'd be the best, man.
No, good point. Good point.
Mikey, what do you
What do you
say,
say,
Mikey?
Mikey?
All right. I started smoking weed in high school like everybody else, not for any particular reason. And see, he's already getting bored. He's reaching for his water. See that?
I'm parched, dude.
Started smoking weed and didn't really do coke or anything. Drank in high school, and we might have like sniffed a couple Vicodins here and there just to have fun as stupid kids. It didn't do anything. And then went to college, and Oxycontin 80s were out. He went to FAU in Boca. I went to Lynn in Boca, 5 minutes from each other. So he lived with Gerard. I lived with Chris Paldoro in the dorm. So we were all down there together. It was a shit show. And Oxycontin 80s were really prevalent. And down there, I want to be careful with what I say. I don't want to say any names.
Right.
But there was someone who kind of had a lot. He was involved in the pill game down there. And he kind of introduced us to them. And I was a dumb 18-year-old kid and wanted to sniff shit. And I sniffed some Oxycontin 80s and I sniffed some coke. And that's how it started at 18 years old, was just bending down and sniffing an Oxycontin 80. And I still remember that first feeling I got walking down this hallway after I sniffed a pill. And I'm going, oh my God, like, this is how I've been waiting to feel my entire life. Like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to feel. I was never comfortable in my own skin. I always had this doom and gloom attitude, which we can get into later. But that moment, that's the only time I remember being high. Like, it's really the only time I remember being high off of dope ever in my life. I don't remember any other time. The hundreds and thousands of times that I've been high, I don't remember any of them but that first time. So that's how me personally got into it. Pass's story is pretty similar, but you can just kind of tell them because we were down
sure.
at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the first reason why I ever smoked weed, well, obviously I was curious, but it's a lot to do with that guy right next to me. You know what I'm saying? So introduced me to it. And yeah, it just became a thing that we just did. I remember being 15. I remember being on that bench at whatever that baseball field is by.
Across Vine Road. On Vine Road.
On
yeah.
Vine Road, dude. There you go. Anyway, so yeah, it's the same kind of thing throughout high school as he just said. But yeah, it really it has to do a lot with Florida. Florida, Dade County, and just
South Florida, yep.
South Florida, just, I mean, even still to this day, it's like, when I think of Florida, I think of just people just being crazy out of their mind with just crazy stories you always hear about, you know, whatever that Florida PD thing is. It's one of the best, like, feeds you can follow, right? And opiates. It's just synonymous. So down there at 18, same thing. The guy who introduced us to it, it's so funny. I've heard him tell that story about him walking. I already know the hallway he's talking about because I was there.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time we did try some Vicodin in high school. We sniffed it. It just didn't really do much, and it was just whatever. But that first time that a small amount just got broken off, and I remember I literally swallowed it. And similar to what he said, it's so vivid in my mind exactly where I was sitting, how I felt, where we were, and just saying, wow, I don't need anything else.
That's it.
I know I'm in school right now. I know I'm in college. You know, JR, you and I played baseball together. We played sports. I did not give a fuck.
Nope.
It didn't take off until we really came back up to the Northeast, because we would dabble. And that's the thing people don't realize.
Yep.
You can fuck around with drugs for a few months and go a week or two without doing it. And you might have it in the back of your head like, man, that was fun, but you're not physically addicted yet.
Yeah.
So we're fucking around down there in Florida. We get back up, and it's like, that's when shit really hit the fan, when we saw, man, we found what we loved out of nowhere in Florida.
Yep.
Oh, we can get it up here.
Yeah.
And the rest is fucking history, man, to be honest.
And you got to remember, though, sorry, I know you're about to say something, but just for the listeners, the time period was 2005. So you got to remember that 2005, that was the height of just the flooding of opiates and specifically Oxycontin in the country. That was the peak of it. That was the fucking peak. And we were the prime age to get addicted. Nowadays, it's powdered heroin and fentanyl. It's different nowadays, but for us, it was the height of Oxycontin 80s. That's the era that we come out of when it comes to addiction.
Good point, because Purdue Pharma released it in '98.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
It's already it's running on its fucking legs in 2005.
Yeah, that was the height
everywhere.
Yep.
Okay, so 2 questions. One is, so you guys were both addicted to prescription painkillers.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We say opiates, right? Because opiates can encompass a lot.
Right.
Opiates can encompass a 5 milligram Vicodin, right? That you're gonna give to someone who just got their wisdom teeth out, right? All the way to fentanyl. Okay. So everything in between. So we like to say opiates because it
wasn't the specific OxyContin. It was whatever opiate you guys could get your hands on is what you had to take.
Exactly. And also, Oxycontin 80s went away. So then it became the oxycodone 30 milligram pills that were out there. Then you get heroin, which if you can get it in powdered form, if you don't shoot up, which I've never shot up.
Same.
Mikey's never shot up.
Right.
So, but it's the same thing. Heroin, oxy, it's the same fucking thing. So that's what we were addicted to. But I was also heavily addicted to cocaine the last 2 years of right before I got clean, and from about 18 to like 20, cocaine. So that's probably the only difference. Mikey, also alcohol was more of a problem for him too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
if someone when people walk up and when I was at NA and AA or even just now and they said, oh, what were you using? What was your drug of choice? I always just say opiates.
Yep.
But they ask, oh, were you an alcoholic too? And the problem was that I could not I couldn't have one without the other.
Yeah.
And I realized that in rehab, just saying, man, because I heard some people saying, oh, I'm going to do this when I get out. Oh, I'm going to still drink, but I'm not going to do coke. I'm still going to drink and I'm not going to shoot up. And I just remember being like, man, if all these people that are saying that are going to drink, they're all going to relapse and end up right back here or dead. So it was, well, but
I'm
not
saying,
an alcoholic though.
Oh, you were saying that they were all pretty much alcoholics.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Now look,
okay.
there are people out there that can casually drink.
Yeah.
That won't relapse. There's people out there, JR, in rehab, and I know he heard it too. I heard so many counselors saying, how many people smoke? People raised it. I was one of 2 people in there for opiates that did not smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
So it's very common to smoke cigarettes and do pills and heroin. She goes, all right, everyone who raised their hand, 95% of you are going to relapse. And I just remember hearing that saying, Jesus Christ, is there no hope?
Yeah.
And I just remember in my head saying, all right, when I get out of here, I have to cut out fucking everything. No more drinking, no more nothing. And I've just been sticking to that for the last 8+ years. But everyone's different. Addiction can be drugs. It can be sex. It can be, there's so many different things that I feel like I can personally say I've been addicted to. But to go back to the original question, opiates 100% was my main drug of choice. And then so was Mikey's too.
Second question.
Do you guys believe believe that marijuana is a gateway drug?
In other words, I guess I'll answer.
So,
no. I just like the format of you going first and I'll go next.
Right, yeah. But like, because people that advocate, or I should say that argue against the legalization of marijuana, that's their big sticking point, right? Is that marijuana is a gateway drug.
Yeah.
But I personally, and I don't know, I mean, you guys are going to be the ones that are able to provide deeper insight.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen someone get addicted to marijuana and then say, I need something harder.
Okay.
They may smoke marijuana, go to a party, and somebody says, hey, do you want to do coke, or hey, do you want to do this or whatever?
Of course.
And they say, yeah, fuck it, why not? But it's not because they're jonesing for marijuana and can't get it and need something else.
I'll tell you, and I just thought of a great sentence, and I never thought of this before. The marijuana is a gateway drug in the same way alcohol is.
100%.
In the same way alcohol is. If you're going to say marijuana is a gateway drug, then alcohol is a gateway drug. If you're going to say that they're not, then they're both not. It's the same thing, right? Every teenager who drinks or smokes weed, right, is not going to go be a heroin addict. But every heroin addict probably started by drinking and smoking weed, okay?
Right.
So to me, it's a yes, it's a no. I can agree with both sides.
Well, because I feel like if you're
yeah.
doing those things, you're probably more likely to be put into a position with harder stuff.
Can be.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
and that's the thing is like I understand the argument that they have of saying like it's a gateway drug, but it's not in the sense that they say it. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
Like it's
Right.
not because if you're allowed to go out at 21 and get shit canned at a bar,
Yeah.
and as long as you don't drive, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like look at how many people just get into
It's
bar
insane.
fights.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
How
What
many
alcohol-
marijuana fights have you seen?
Yeah, no, not a lot,
This is
dude.
actually
not
zero.
a lot, bro. You know, fights over marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Like, yo,
Yeah,
that's,
but
about, yo,
once,
that's about 20
once you're
back then, you know
high,
what I
Where's
mean?
my
who's
money?
fighting
Yeah.
when they're high?
No
on
one,
marijuana?
bro. That's
No,
the
no.
that's the thing, man. So that's such an ancient argument, that marijuana gateway drug thing. To me, it's just such an ancient argument. Like, stop. Marijuana is so socially acceptable. Like, stop, man. If you're a parent and you're worried about your kid smoking weed, right? Talk to your kid. If you want your kid never to smoke weed, I'd agree. I wouldn't want my kid to smoke weed, right?
Right.
It's just not necessary. Like, you don't need to smoke weed, right? Maybe later in life, if you have anxiety and you might need it, whatever. But the perfect world, no kids would smoke weed. But 90% of kids are gonna try weed and smoke weed. That does not mean that it's a gateway drug. You're fudging the numbers by saying that all these addicts started with weed. They did not become addicts because they started with weed.
And that's
what I'll
kind of
say.
what I wanted to get your take
Yeah.
on. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
And isn't it funny? It's like I stopped smoking weed for the most part when I found opiates, but I was heavily drinking with opiates. So it's not like I was like, man, I want to use opiates and really smoke weed. Alcohol just goes so great with intensifying whatever drug you're doing. Cocaine users love alcohol. Right? Would
I
you
mean,
agree?
I never loved alcohol, so
Well,
that's why
true.
I'm different in that sense. But
Yeah.
majority for sure.
But
Majority
alcohol
for sure.
I always thought, and I thought to myself when we used to talk about this, like if I never tried weed, well, I already drank by the time I tried weed.
Right.
I would have definitely found opiates 100% if I
man.
never smoked weed.
Yeah,
I would have got to
regardless,
them
yeah.
somehow,
100%.
some way, without a doubt, no question.
Yep.
Because that's not, like you were in college and you got introduced to this. You weren't at a weed smoking party.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
But we were smoking weed then.
You were smoking weed, but that it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like
No. But listen, I'll put it this way, man. I know people who have been smoking weed since they were 16, okay? And they're not hardcore drug addicts right now. They drink and they smoke weed, right?
Right.
Maybe they'll like take a Xanax here or take a tab of acid here, but they never had to go to rehab. It didn't ruin their life, right? So it's a case-by-case basis, man. That's just the way I look at a lot of things in life, but especially addiction. Everything is case by case. So there are no broad generalizations of, yes, this is black and white. So if you smoke weed, you're going to be a dope head. If you drink, you're going to be a coke head. Like, no, none of that exists. And I think it's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
People say it does.
There's no equation.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so you guys are now, you've found your drug of choice,
Yeah.
right? You're at college. Did it affect you at college to the point where you had to like drop out, or did you go through college, stay addicted, and then just kind of, like walk us through that time frame?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, cool. I left college first. So I left college after 4 months, after one semester. But it wasn't because of drugs. It was basically because of a girl. It was my high school girlfriend. She went to college in Tampa, 3 hours away, and we were like missing each other. We're like, you know what? Let's just move back to Stanford together, right? So that's what we did. We left college and moved back to Stanford to like be together. So that drugs didn't really have a lot to do with why I left after a semester of college. I really wasn't even physically addicted to drugs at that point. And then Mikey left after a year, I think, right?
Yeah, I did a full year down there. Me and G came back up from FAU. No, it didn't. That's the thing too. I didn't even know what addiction was. I didn't even know you could get physically addicted, and I wasn't physically addicted because it was so spaced out down there.
Yeah.
But I was still always seeking it. Like the person that we would get from, even after he left, I just remember sitting there. This was the first time I remember honestly calling someone nonstop for 4 hours until they picked up to be like, where the fuck is it, dude? You said you had, you know what I mean? But no, it didn't really affect me in that way. I still did I didn't do that great freshman year, and I just knew with like 3 months left of freshman year, I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going back up north. So, but no, it didn't affect me that way.
So then what we both did is we both left normal colleges, and then Mikey enrolled in some place called SAE, which was an audio engineering school, right? Which is a trade program. It was about 10 months.
Right.
He started, and I'm like, you know what? That's a good fucking idea. So I went in the next class, which was like 3 months later.
Yeah.
So we were there at the same time. We both went to this audio engineering school, commuted every day into the city. And at that time, we were not using oxys every single day. It was more of a, weekend kind of thing, or maybe you'd use on a weeknight if you had it. It wasn't a lot. It was still a fun thing where we'd get high, right? And we're about 19 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So we do that. Mikey finishes. I finish. I get an internship at Bad Boy in the city. I commute every day there for almost a year and a half. Mikey gets a job at a studio. So we're literally like on the same trajectory, right? We went to a school especially to do something that we love, music. We always made music together.
Right.
He gets a job at a studio. I get a job at a big record label. Oh, this is awesome. Like our lives are going to be fucking great. There was one thing that connected us and one thing that ruined us. And it was that before we even enrolled in that fucking school, we had been messing with oxys and we were not going to stop. So we were just running against a brick wall because we thought we could just still use oxys and still have a life and a career and everything's going to be going up. We were prime set to like keep moving up the ladder at whatever we were going to be doing. And oxys were the one thing that stopped us from doing that. And slowly but surely, both of us crashed down and eventually had to go to rehab, right? And we can obviously walk through that. I don't want to talk for a fucking hour. But it's weird how our stories are very similar in that sense of leaving college, going to an audio engineering school, getting a good job right after, and then ruining it by no one's fault but our own.
So
Came
you
to a
guys
halt.
are 19 years old. You're back in Stanford.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've now found a supplier in Stanford, but it's not
Multiple.
necessarily
Yeah.
an everyday thing.
No.
Right? Like you
No,
guys
it's
have your
special.
everyday
It's
lives.
a special thing. It's still a special thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you're back home.
Yeah.
So you're in a much more comfortable environment, right? Not everybody
sure, yeah.
went away, right, to school. So
No.
I'm sure there's
Yeah, no.
plenty of people that, we went to high school with and that you guys know from high school and hanging out with. So you guys are seeing people on the weekends and it's just kind of
absolutely.
that it's just that easy, fun, let loose, but it's allowed to continue now because
Right.
you have access.
Yeah,
And-
but we
and-
thought it was okay because we were going to school and I was commuting to the city every day and Mikey was working at the so we thought it was all okay because we weren't doing nothing. We were being productive, and you can be productive and still be a drug addict, right?
Right.
And then slowly but surely, it becomes the most important thing. And the reason why I left Bad Boy was because I didn't want to keep commuting to the city every day, and I didn't think that they were going to like hire me for like a full-time, really good paid position. And truthfully, I wanted to just do drugs. Like that's what I wanted to do. And it killed all the creativity, all the what's the word I'm looking for? Not drive. All the
juice, the mojo.
all the aspiration, right? You know what I'm saying? It killed all of that. It killed all of that. And it will kill any young person that wants to be something, go to school, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be an astronaut. Hardcore drugs will stop that. It will stop that.
Yeah.
Weed and alcohol probably won't. Maybe. Hardcore drugs will.
Yeah, so that's the reason why he left. I was working at a studio in Stanford, and I was doing pretty good, and I wasn't really getting paid because, again, that's what you're expected to do.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting paid a
We
bad
were
boy.
interns. I was getting a stipend from P. Diddy.
I was
$50 every week. Thanks a lot, Puff.
Thanks a lot,
Fucking
Puffy.
asshole.
I was just fucking errand boy, setting up mics, going to Dunkin' Donuts, making sure that all the fucking artists had fucking food and but I was fine with that. That's what I wanted to do because
was
I
what
knew it was
we were
going to lead.
supposed to do.
I knew it was going to lead into a full-time
Yep.
engineering job, which is like, at the time, I was like, man, there could be nothing better. But I remember the day where I go, man, I need to make money because I want drugs.
Yep.
And I started working at a fucking restaurant.
Yep.
And it gradually went from, I do maybe 1 or 2 days in the studio, 3 days at the restaurant, 5 days at the fucking restaurant, 0 days at the studio, and that's just gone.
Dude,
It's
that's
gone.
how Bad Boy was with me.
Yeah.
I was doing 5 days a week, and I'm like, oh, can we cut it down to 3? And then all of a sudden it was and cut down to 3, and then it was like, you know what? Yeah, don't come in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, cool.
okay, great.
Like,
I'm getting high.
I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And she's like, well, okay, see you later. All right, fine.
And he asked me so many, and we've talked about this in the thousands of hours that we've podcasted. Of course we would. We always talk about regrets, and I always tell him to this day, my number one regret in life is leaving that studio.
Yep.
Leaving that and going the direction that I ended up going, because now granted it got me to the person I am today, and I'm thankful for that, but we're talking regrets.
Yes.
That's number one.
We literally we talked about this. We're like, wow, we have the same regret.
Yeah.
I'm like, we even have this. I was like, I wish I never left that. I wish I just they fucking would have had to kick me out of there, because I was meeting artists and meeting rappers and in Harv Pierre's office and driving him around. I was in the spot that I wanted to be, whether I wanted to be a musician or I just wanted to be a part of that world and work in Bad Boy, whatever it was a chance of a lifetime, just like Mikey's. And it's like, we both, that's our regret is basically squandering that and leaving both of those places because of drugs.
Without a doubt.
Stop being like me, dude. You know what I'm saying?
And like me.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Because it was
safer.
essentially the career that you guys wanted. Like you were
100%.
both.
Oh, yeah.
You were both on track for your chosen career, and just kind of blew it up for drugs.
Well, you know what's crazy about that? I mean, the whole thing's fucking crazy, but everybody that we went to class with at SAE, right? And it's a world, everyone knows that school if you're in the audio engineering business. So we're at the heart of it. We get out. Do you know how many people don't get jobs in the audio industry after they leave SAE? One of the main guys who was like our head teacher, I guess you could say, whatever, but he's worked on so many albums. He goes, oh, 1 out of the 50 of you is going to get a job in audio. And I'm like, and he told me this was like a month left. I'm like, all right, I mean, thanks, but it's the reality, because people don't want to go work for free for 16 months.
That's what I just said before. I'm like, we both had great opportunities. That's what I'm saying. Is like we both had great opportunities and we fucked them up specifically because of drugs.
I worked with Diana Ross, guys. All right, you don't get that. You don't get that opportunity all the time. She was the worst, by the way. I hated her. Anyway, just had to throw it out there.
All right, so talk about. I don't like using the term the height of your addiction.
Yeah, I love it. I love using that term, dude.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? It's not necessarily. I mean, I guess during the time it was the happiest time of your life.
That was the worst time of my life.
Well, no, because I'm not talking about rock bottom. I'm talking about like.
No, you are, JR. That's what I'm saying. Height, rock bottom, same place. The height of your drug addiction is rock bottom. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I don't mean, but I'm just saying.
No, it's okay.
It's funny
Everyone's
because
different, though.
So, all right. So let me
saying-
explain it a different way.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Because when I, as someone who's not an addict, when I hear the term rock bottom,
Must be nice. Yeah,
I
keep going.
think of like, and I want to get to this, the worst thing that you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Either,
Yeah.
To get drugs or the worst drug or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Worst situations. Yeah.
So that's how, for me anyway, that's what I hear when I hear rock bottom. That's what I think of. What I'm talking about is like just you're fully into just using every day. Like what was that? Just you know what I mean? Like what was a day or a week or whatever, a month or even a year?
Yeah.
And we'll just sing the whole Friends theme song.
Yep, I love it. I love it.
But you know what I mean? Like, what did that
Yes,
look
100%.
like while you guys were kind of in that aspect of your addiction?
You could so let's do a day in the life of both of us, man. When we were using our most and stuff. You can go first.
Sure. I just want to say, one of us never sucked dick for drugs. Just want to get that out there. All right. So anyway,
I always had.
We'll get to the worst thing you guys ever done in a minute.
I'm joking.
I want the big reveal.
I had a little bit of change on me, so I could always buy the drugs. I always had a little skittle. So it's definitely not me that had to do it. But I've done it, but I'm just saying I didn't have to do it, is what I'm trying to say. He had to
now
do
you
it.
know the one person.
That's
I said
thing.
one of us had to do it.
Yeah, you had to.
No,
I wanted
you did
to.
it. Anyway, I'm joking, JR. None of us
Sorry,
did that.
day
We
in the
both
life.
know.
Come on.
So a day in the life. So
At the worst, like worst.
Oh, absolutely. So I was working at a restaurant. I'm not going to say the name, obviously. And I'm going to say a lot of allegedly, because things allegedly happened. But the problem with me, and this is where me and Mikey will differ, and he'll explain it to you when it gets to him, but every dollar that I made as a waiter, bartender, every single dollar went towards drugs. Now, obviously, I had some bills. I was living at home, and I had to give my dad some fucking rent. I had to fucking pay my phone bill. Car insurance, that's it though. The problem was, hey, Dad, you got to give me another 2 days. I'm sorry, I didn't make enough last night. When I'm blatantly lying and I blatantly made $200 and all that $200 is already gone. So a day for me would be waking up and I would be going through withdrawal if I didn't use anything, probably with like a good 8 to 10 hours. So if I went to bed and all my stuff's gone because I used it, now it's 10, or let's just say 10 hours later, I'm already feeling it. My shift starts at 5. So
I just want to interrupt you. Tell them what you're using, right? So just like,
amounts
you know what I'm
and
saying?
stuff.
So say, hey, I'm buying, right?
Sure.
A bunch of
Sure.
right? Just so
Sure.
people know, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Okay.
So obviously I'm buying whatever that the money can buy, but the main focus was how many of the 30 milligram oxycodone pills can I get? Because that's what was really popping at that time. So
And this is probably 2000,
like the height of this.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
We're talking
2009, maybe.
Yeah,
No, 2008, 2007.
2000. I'm gonna say like summer 2008.
Yeah.
and it's going to right until I got clean. Let's just say up until January of 2012.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just a constant cycle of I don't know if I'm gonna have I hope I make enough money tonight to get drugs so I don't feel sick, because that's all it is at this point after years of using is I just don't want to feel sick anymore. I want to feel quote unquote normal. We always like to say, or a lot of acts like to say, when you're in withdrawal and when you're not, when you're looking for it, you might be at like -10. The drug's just going to get you right back to 0. It's no longer getting you to +20 where you're like, oh my God. +20 was when we were in Florida. Maybe that's even +100 where you're like, oh my God, I'm not a full-blown addict. The drug's getting me super fucking high. Everything's great. So just to get back to 0 is a constant struggle every day. So I'd go to shift. I'd go to my shift. And the life as a waiter, some nights you're going to fucking kill it. Some nights you're going to walk out with $13 in your fucking wallet.
Been there.
See, there you go. So you know the struggle. So I just knew that, and for some context, a 30 milligram oxycodone is going to be at least $20, depending where you're going or if there's a shortage, whatever the case is, $25, $30, but average is 20. So I wanted to every shift have a dealer show up. I take the cash out of my book. That's, you've been a waiter.
Show up to his restaurant.
Show up to my restaurant.
He's waitering, running around, waiting tables, and he's checking his phone every 10 minutes and being like, oh shit, can you come? All right. Oh yeah. Okay. So if he comes in 3 hours, I have 5 tables. So I'm going to make probably about $80. So yeah. Okay. Let me get 4. And hoping that dealer's going to show up and he's going to have that $80, right? Banking on those 4 tables that he's going to have the $80 when that dealer shows up.
A huge problem though. And you've bar backed, waited. You know the deal.
Never bar backed. Yeah.
Okay. Barebacked is what you do.
Yeah,
there you go.
But we all know, hey, what if they all pay with card?
Not
Guess
getting
what?
it till the end of the night.
You're not getting paid till fucking 1 a.m. But I have a dealer coming in 2 hours from Bridgeport. There's just a constant struggle of, all right, well, this table did pay with cash. Now, I only made an $8 tip, but there's $100 in my book from that table or my tables for the day. I can't tell you how many times I took cash.
Allegedly.
Thank you, Mikey. How many times I took cash that wasn't mine in my book that's owed to the restaurant by the end of the night, and I'm using that to buy drugs. You don't know how many times I did that on a Saturday.
Allegedly did that on a Saturday.
Allegedly did that on a Saturday and worked the 9 a.m. shift, the morning shift, and knew because I was short $60, $100, whatever the case is, I'd offer to work someone's night shift and just say, oh, you know what? Take tonight off. I'll take your 5 o'clock. Why? I just need the money. Sure, why not? And that's just the constant struggle. That's just constantly it. But I would never, ever, it would always be Wednesday was my day off. I had no drugs from Wednesday noon till maybe Thursday night. And it's just a constant, oh my God, I feel like shit. Oh my God, what can I do to get some type of pill in my system? And at that time, I mean, the height that I ever bought drugs, I think the most I would ever have at any time is whatever my job for that day allowed me. If I can get 10 pills for $200, awesome. I know I'll be good for the next maybe day and a half. But if I'm only leaving there and I can only get 2 or 3 pills, I'm going to be hurting so much in fucking 12 hours. It's just a constant cycle. I hated the job. I started allegedly doing things that I shouldn't have. Nothing gay. Just want to point that out.
No, yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with that. But I started doing things that, again, it's not taking things from a safe. It's not like that. But I was definitely doing things to give myself the upper hand and always having money from a job, from the job I was at.
Whatever you had to do to feed the addiction.
110%. So that was just a normal day, week in my life, and that went on for fucking years.
And now, you said if you could buy 10 pills for $200 and you'd be good for a day and a half. So 36 hours, you're going through 10 pills. And, And now, how for people who don't know, how many pills are you supposed to take, and what's the recommended time frame to take them in?
All right, so that's going to differ from the time that someone first takes to the time where Mikey stops using. Let's
say they were prescribed by a doctor.
Sure. It's going to be sorry. No, I'm saying if you're going to get 30 milligram oxycodones, okay? Nowadays, people are still going to write for them, but not nearly as much.
No.
But back in the day, they'll say take 3 times a day as needed if you just had shoulder surgery.
Right.
Okay.
See, that's a lot.
That's kind of what they'll say if it's a bad thing, right?
So essentially, you're saying for pain, you're taking one pill every 8 hours.
But
if you need
and
it.
when it comes to pain and pain medication, everybody's different. So there's never a set thing of like, okay, this is an antibiotic. So you take one for 7 days and you're off it. Pain is, you can't judge someone's pain. Right? So they'll write you, 100 pills, right? And it'll be, 3 every day. So you get it for a month. You get 90 pills for a month or whatever it is. And that's why people started abusing oxys and oxycodones and Oxycontin to begin with, is because they realized, oh shit, it takes away my pain, but it gives me this good feeling, and I have so many of them, and I'm just going to keep taking them. But it's all the normal dosage just depends on what injury you have, what kind of medication he gives you, Vicodin to fucking Oxycontin.
Well, I'll put it like this too, just to kind of give some context. I remember when I first started using. And a 5 milligram Percocet, which is, again, it's oxycodone, 5 milligrams with other stuff in it, acetaminophen. A 5 milligram Percocet, when I first started using, was all I needed for 6 to 8 hours, right?
Wow.
And then when you would take those 30s, just to put more context in, when you would take those 30s down in Florida when we first got them, or even the 80s, if you just split the 30 in half and split it with someone, which I did, I would pop it. I was good for literally 8 hours. Fast forward to this addiction where 10 pills, to me, that's a good, that was a good, I hate to say score, but if I can get 10 pills for $200 that one night, I don't have any worries in the world for at least another day. So I'm good that day. But the point is that 5 milligram that did the job, fucking forget that. I always started off the day popping and would end the night with sniffing whatever I had left. But if I first did that 5 milligram Percocet, JR, and that was fine, now I'm popping 3 to 5 30 milligram oxycodone just to get a small effect that would last for maybe an hour. So we're talking 90 to 150 just popping. Hold on to your fucking horses, though, because whatever I'm saying is going to get dwarfed by this man to my right.
It's not dwarfing.
No, in a good way, though.
Okay.
No, but before he even goes.
Yeah.
So now you're saying 3 to 5 pills, 3 to 5
30 milligrams.
of the 30 milligram just to get an hour. So, and I think that's the perfect example of how an overdose happens on these painkillers, right?
Yes.
You're at 5 pills just to get an hour's worth of relief.
But the thing is, my body's used to it, though.
Right, so, but that's the thing, is like you start getting used to it, you start taking more and more and more until you're at a point where you just say, I'm just going to take a fucking shit ton. And because you're not regulating at that point, right? As a user.
No, you are. That's the thing. So like me and Mikey's situation was different, but he was day to day, right? I was more week to week. I had a guy in California that was more bulk. But so Mikey would basically be day to day. So he was saying if he can get 10 pills, that's like a great day for him.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time he can get 3 pills. So he regulates. He goes, shit, I only get 3 pills today, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take 1 now or 2 now and then save 1 for when it's midnight. 8 p.m. or whatever, so that you're not really dying for the rest of the night.
Right.
So,
but if you get 10, you're going to take 10.
No,
you're just going to the next day.
It's going to bleed to the next day.
You're going to the next, exactly. But I was even regulating with fucking getting 240 of the 30 pills every fucking week, and I was even scared that I was going to run out. That's how bad it gets when you're a drug addict. So you are regulating when you're a drug addict.
Let's jump into your story then.
No, the height of my addiction was in California, It's 2012. I came in a little bit of money, and I'm like, okay, found a connect out there, and I moved out there addicted, fully addicted to oxys. He was addicted too. We were addicted, but I just moved out there. I wanted to go live life. I'm 24. I graduated from NCC. I got my associates. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go out to California. Went out there addicted. By the time I left and went to rehab, I was doing like 35 to 40 of the 30 milligram pills a day. And I never popped one of them ever in my life.
Right.
I always sniffed them. So I would break a day in the life for me when I was 25, 26, at the height, 26, when I was heightened my addiction. I wake up, I grab my pill bottle that's filled with 200 plus of the 30 milligrams. I have a shaver, right? It's a hose clamp. You ever see those hose clamps, right? That you like, sometimes they're at gas pumps. They'll be around the gas pumps. You put them in and they wrap around. So you buy those at a hardware store. You just unspool them and make them a straight line. Bend one down. You take the pill. You go like this. You shave on it.
It's like a cheese grater.
Cheese grater effect. So I'd wake up every day and be like, okay, grab my pill bottle, grab 4 pills, chop them up. Okay, I'm ready for the day. Here we go. Whatever I was doing that day, if I was an extra, I worked as an extra, I worked as a waiter. I did a lot of jobs out in California. Whatever I was doing, I always did a bump, which is sniffing a pill, every 45 minutes, every hour, regardless of where I was. I had to run to the bathroom and chop up minimum 3 pills at a time. And I was not getting high. Did not feel 1 ounce of withdrawal and did not feel 1 ounce of being high. And people are always confused about that. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
The reason why is because for the last 2.5 years that I was using, I had a steady connect, and he was giving it to me for really cheap. And so I was buying them in bulk because I was buying them in bulk. And I could afford them. So I never could not get the pills. And I never... It's really weird how it happened where that shouldn't happen. There should be a time where like I'm calling 1,000 people trying to get them. For some reason, it was a great connect. Every week, Friday, without fail, drive down and get them. So I did not have pills in the last 2.5 years of my addiction. I had 2 guys, because I was calling 2 guys. I had 2 guys with 240 pills each, and I met both of them within 2 hours because they both weren't good. Then they both called me and said they were good. I had 480 fucking pills, 2 bottles. They wouldn't even fit.
They're like that.
To me, when you say hype, when you're like, oh, I'm talking about hype, that was one of the best moments of my life being a drug addict, was having these 2 pills where you can ask Mikey, I'm good forever. That's how you feel, right?
Yeah.
I'm good forever. I have these, but you're not good forever. That's going to run out in a week. Especially with the amount I was doing, that's gone in a fucking week, dude, right? 2 weeks. That's fucking gone. So with the amount I was doing and with never having them, I didn't get high because my tolerance was just so up there, and I never felt withdrawals because I always had them, right? So it was a good and a bad situation, because then when I went to rehab, my withdrawals were like really bad because it was just stop. Okay, you were taking 1,200 milligrams a day, which is fucking crazy. All right, stop. Nothing. You're done. It was really bad. And I was doing coke 3 days a week for the last like year or 2 when I was out in California. So it was just a whole mess of shit that I was doing. And that was just literally, it's a boring life. Like people think that like a drug, you watch Intervention, right? And you see like these people homeless and like sucking dick and shit, right?
Yeah.
We were never, like seriously, we were never on the streets, drug addict, was roaming around. We were never that, right? Whether he was worried day to day to get pills, I was worried week to week to get pills. We were never that bad, but we both hit rock bottoms that were just as bad as any other rock bottom. Because when I tell you, I just didn't care if I lived or died, it's really the truth. It was, if I have my pills, I'm good, right? But I don't care if I don't wake up the next day because I've led a good life and I'm, perfectly content. The best way I say it is you could have put me in a cardboard box. If you gave me 1,000 pills, I'm fine. Put me in a fucking mansion with no pills, I'm going to go crazy. It's so hard to comprehend if you're not in that situation. But for me, that's exactly how I felt. And I was numb to everything. and it was just the physical thing of sniffing. That's what I was addicted to. Sniffing, putting something up my nose. And I haven't put anything on my nose in 6 fucking years. I tried Flintstone vitamin.
Yeah.
He was here, and it just didn't work. You know?
Yeah,
what
what's
I
it gonna do, dude?
It just wasn't the same.
Yabba dabba do, dude.
But that's it, man. It's really like a day in the life. It's boring. It's every hour sniffing pills, every single hour sniffing pills. And none of my friends out in California really knew I was a dope head. They all just didn't know because you lead a double life, right? It's weird. It's fucking crazy.
We had everyone fooled. I mean,
everybody fooled.
When
man.
I had to, stupidly at 21, when I couldn't find anything, I had to just come out and tell my mom because, I just did. And went to detox for 4 days, didn't realize I was like, if I detox for 4 days, I'll be good. Yeah, 3 weeks later, I was using.
Yeah.
The term that always comes back that I always think of, one is too many, 1,000's never enough.
Yeah.
That old saying.
Yeah.
We used to joke about, man, imagine if we found a barrel of a million pills, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing as if there's 20. At some point, you're out. It doesn't matter. You're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel that. That gratification of saying I'm good for the moment or I'm good for X, but there's always gonna be a fucking end to that, right. And that's the same for every single addict.
Yep.
I can speak for both of us and say that I'm glad that I went through all that because it made me who I am today.
Yeah.
Right? You would agree?
Absolutely.
I just don't wish it on fucking anybody. I would never wish what I had to go through, he had to go through, or anybody who's straight up full-blown addicted. I would never wish that on anybody. I had to say that.
Yeah, no, but it's true. It's like I would sniff a bunch of pills in one line, and immediately I would have a cigarette. And during that cigarette, I wouldn't think about drugs or anything. Right after that cigarette, I would be thinking about my next bump.
Right.
Like, how fucking sick is that?
Yeah.
That, like, you just did 4 pills, and you're watching TV, and you smoke a cigarette, and you put it down, and you go, when can I do my next bump? Oh, let me check. I gotta wait at least 30 minutes. What the fuck, bro? You just did 4.
Yeah.
Like, if I could just go back and just like slap myself in the face and just be like, dude, chill out. Like, you don't have to do that many.
Right.
But I wouldn't have listened. But it's just weird to think that was me doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's weird.
And for someone that was doing it with Coke, because I've met and I've done them before. Like I was never the big. I didn't
never
really like
big
Coke,
Coke guy.
No. But I've done it where I did because someone always told me, oh, if you do them together, it's insane. All right. Do you know how many fucking people die all the time? Like, you know how many times any addict could obviously die or overdose, but I remember when I heard him telling me about like the amount he was doing, but then Coke too.
Yeah.
It's like I see that we see it all the time.
Yeah,
we see news stories. We've seen people in our hometown pass from ODing from the mix of the two, whether they knew it was mixed or not, or whether they did it intentionally. It is so crazy, and I've thought this so many times to myself. Yep. I am so fucking grateful to be alive. Yep. I'm grateful he's alive. I'm grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful everyone who's an addict is alive.
But okay, hold on, JR. I hope you're going to put reaction shots of you while we're talking because I feel bad because we're talking like for 10 minutes. So hopefully you just put nice shots of you going,
nodding.
Yeah.
I might just crop myself up in the. That's why I'm recording my screen because I could just crop myself up in the top here.
But you mentioned something about ODing, right? So you said, oh, like that's why people OD, right? I was doing a lot. And the reason why I didn't OD is because I think I never mixed it with anything else, right? So when he said I was doing Coke, I would do oxys and then stop at 5 o'clock and do Coke for 4 hours. Not in the same, but I would just not do oxy. It would just
right.
Coke
You would
4
never.
hours.
You would never mix them.
Never, not one time. Also, benzos. I never took Xanax. I never really took Xanax, but I'm saying if you go look at autopsy reports of 90% of prescription drug related overdoses, it's gonna be a mixture of benzodiazepines and opiates. Now maybe fentanyl, fentanyl is gonna be the word that's in there, but it's the mixture of why people usually overdose. That's why. It's usually not the amount, it's usually the mixture of 2 substances.
The only time it's the amount is when you get someone who's never done drugs, right? We used to hear that story all the time about a girl in college who literally never did opiates before and just took 5 Oxycontin 80s.
Yeah.
That's 400 milligrams. Your heart, you're going to stop breathing. You're dead. So that's a time where obviously the amount will, but with a user, it's a gradual build. And the amount they're taking every day is usually not going to kill them just by itself.
Unless you stopped. We know someone specifically in Stanford who we dealt with and stuff. He passed away. He overdosed a couple years ago. Sucks. He got clean, then relapsed, did not mix it with anything, but he relapsed and he used the same amount that he was using
Right.
when so his tolerance had went
He just went into
down.
that habit and didn't realize.
It was the amount. Yeah, he didn't realize, oh shit, my tolerance back to 0 now, right?
Yeah.
That's another way people overdose.
Yeah,
so,
he probably thought this amount's perfect.
100%.
right. This is
amount's
what
gonna-
I've been
this amount's
taking the
gonna
whole
be
time. I'll be fine.
100%. 100%,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. So now
Yeah.
let's talk about rock bottom, because I want to
Yeah, dude.
I want to get to rock bottom, and then I want to get into. I mean, rehab is rehab. I think anybody
Right.
who has heard about rehab knows rehab.
Yep.
But I think when we get to rehab, I want to talk about more of the support system you guys either had or didn't have, or whatever the case may be.
For sure.
So
Absolutely.
let's start with rock bottom for each of you
Okay.
guys. What was that? What did it entail?
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first real quick.
Okay, go first.
Sure, I'll go first. So like I was saying, I was working at this restaurant and it just became a thing where for set amount of time, I was doing what I needed to do to get the money. And I did get caught stupidly because long story short, I fucked up. I made an error. Someone noticed it. Next thing you know, I'm in the office the next day, an hour before my shift, because I got called in. Hey, we need to talk to you. I said, oh, I'll be there at 5. He goes, get her now. And I knew that ride over was, I'm fucked. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know if there's going to be a cop there. I didn't know what to expect. Walked into that office. Here is what we think you did. And even the fact that we think you did all this, obviously you're done. You're fired. Luckily, one of the guys there knew my pops for 35 years, and said, hey, get clean. We'll talk afterward. That right there, I had to let everyone in my immediate family know, like, yep, I have been using for the last 4 years. When you guys thought I was clean because I was hiding it, you guys thought I was okay. You guys knew I worked at a bar, but you probably figured I just drank a little bit. Yeah, oh no, I've been a full-blown addict. I fucked up. I'm fired and I need help. And I never will forget when I had to tell my dad this right after I came home from getting fired, how fucking hard he slammed his hand on the table. It was like that right there just sent me into this fucking this zone of, dude, you got to get your life together. You need to figure out how to fix whatever damages you have done, but you need to first and foremost is get clean. That was rock bottom. The look on all my family members' faces, the reasons why I was behind on bills, had to come clean and say, this is what I've been doing. It's been going on for years, and I'm fucked right now. And that was the absolute worst I felt in my entire life, and that'll probably be one of the worst. That will be the worst time from the time I'm 28 now. Sorry, 28 years old. Wink, wink. 0 to my age now, the absolute worst time of my life. That was my rock bottom.
Yeah, it's a good rock bottom, dude.
It's
That's
a fucking
good fucking rock
It
bottom,
was
bro.
it was a deep one, you know.
That's a good one. Yeah, man. The worst, I actually had a rock bottom moment that didn't make me get clean. It's the most embarrassing, the most regretful moment that I've ever encountered in my life. I'm not going to tell the whole story right now because it's just kind of like, it's just weird to get into. But like he said, long story short, I was in the hospital. I was full-blown addict, 2012, living in California. I started a pipe company with my cousin. We were at a festival selling pipes. I got dehydrated. I'm a type 1 diabetic since I was 8 years old. So it just makes everything more complicated with dehydration and all this other shit. So I got really dehydrated, got sent to the hospital, ICU, all this shit for like 3 days. My parents flew out. I was addicted. So I'm laying in a hospital bed, right? No one knows I'm an addict. So I'm laying in a hospital bed like dehydrated and shit, but I'm withdrawing, okay? So I made like my cousin like bring pills to the hospital, and then like my mom got them from him but didn't know they were pills, and then like I literally like went in the bathroom of my hospital room when my parents were in there and like hobbled to the bathroom because I was like really sick and sniffed pills in the bathroom, and I'm 90% sure my parents knew I was doing that right in the bathroom. And that's such just an embarrassing, horrible moment for a human being to like go through to do that? How can I do that to my parents? How can I, like, they know I'm in there doing drugs. How the fuck can I do that? That was 2012. I didn't get clean for another 2 years. Like, that didn't even send me over the edge to be like, you know what? That's fucked up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to go to rehab. Nope. Stayed and got even worse. So that was the lowest point I've ever felt in my life. But why I got clean and my rock bottom was I went to Florida. It was an anniversary for my grandparents. I looked like shit, weighed like 125 pounds. My whole family pretty much called me out at the end of the weekend. And I woke up one morning. I was about to fly back to California on a Monday. And my mom was like, what's going on? You're a drug addict, right? And I go, we had talked about it before, right? They're all, like, I had been lying to my mom, like, yeah, I'm clean when I was living in California over the phone. It was so easy, like, just over the phone. No, mama,
Right.
I lied to this motherfucker when he was in rehab, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucked up. I was like, yeah, I'm clean, man. I'm clean. Or like right out of
I called you in
rehab.
rehab.
In rehab.
And you said you were clean.
It's so easy to lie over the phone.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's so easy. So my parents always knew something was going on, and they're like, you're still using, right? I go, yeah. It's just coke, though. And they're like, no, something's wrong. And I'm like, yeah, no, okay. My dad, never seen my dad cry one time my whole entire life. Never shed a tear. Never. Took me outside and started just like crying. And I didn't even know he was crying. He just kind of started moving his shoulders. I'm like, what? He's like, you're gonna die. And it just fucking hit me. And I'm like, oh, he's like, please, you're gonna die. That's all he said to me. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I went back in. My brothers and my mom are there. And I'm like, I'm going to rehab tomorrow. And called a couple of rehabs, called a friend that had went to a rehab in Florida, asked him what the good ones were. And the next morning, Tuesday morning, I was getting admitted to a rehab. That was it. That was April 8th, 2014. Yep.
So the thing I find amazing about both those stories is oftentimes when you hear the story of a rock bottom for an addict, right? It's something that they did or something that happened to them or whatever the case may be that made them, see the light, if you will, and go to rehab, right? But it's always this kind of event, like when you see the stories on like TV or the news or documentaries or whatever, right? And I think the really interesting thing is that you guys share this commonality of it wasn't so much an event that was your rock bottom. It was the fact that you both realized that what you were doing had disappointed the people that you loved. And that's what set you straight.
100%.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just it's
That's
unique and it's amazing that,
Yep.
because I mean, you hear like the intervention and like all these people that
Yeah.
are like in denial, I'm not an addict, I'm fine, or they fight it or whatever the case may
Yep.
be. But it for that to resonate with you guys the same way, I think is really amazing.
And don't get us wrong. There were times where we had denied that we were addicts, right? Like I was telling my parents I was clean over the phone. Like, no, I'm
Right.
clean, I'm clean, I'm clean. So it does take some sort of, moment, but it's not a movie script. It's not.
Right.
One of the best quotes I ever read was like, something about rock bottom is not a moment or a place. Rock bottom is where you're living. Like, you don't realize you're living in rock bottom until you realize you're living in rock bottom.
Right.
It's not a moment. You've been there for a while, man. It's only about when you realize you're living in rock bottom. And it's the support system is the biggest part, because everyone says, go to rehab for yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. If you want to get clean, you get clean for yourself. And yeah, to an extent, that's true. You have to want to get clean. I didn't get clean until I was 27. And I wanted to get clean at that point. You got clean at what? 20?
He turned 25 in
He
rehab.
turned 25 in rehab. So like, we were kind of a little bit later. If I went at 21, I would have been like, no, fuck you. I don't want to get clean.
Right.
So you have to want to get clean. But when I tell you I got clean for my family, I got clean for my family because I could not do that to them anymore. I wanted to get clean, but the looks in their faces, I could not do it to them anymore. So I always kind of go against that of like, you can only get clean for yourself. Only if you want to do only you. That's it. Don't get clean for your parents. No, fuck that. Get clean for your parents. Get clean for your wife. Get clean for your husband, because they're the ones that are going to be there for you. So get clean for them. You'll be good. That's just the way I feel.
No, absolutely.
So then let's talk about the support systems that you guys had. Because I mean, in rehab, you're essentially isolated, right? There's no, I mean, people can come visit you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
To a
went to
certain
rehab in
extent.
Florida. He went to rehab up
Upstate
around here.
Connecticut, yeah.
People can come visit you 100%. But I'm just going to say, if you go on our feed, 2DopeLess Hope Fiends, just search 2DopeLess on the podcast app. Episode 17, right? This is 5 years ago.
Right.
It's called Pee and Pass Go to Rehab or something, right?
Pee and Pass Excellent Adventure? No?
Oh, I thought no.
or
It's like
yeah,
Pee
yeah.
and Pass something in rehab.
Yeah.
Episode 17. Go listen to that. It's like an hour and change. We break down our entire just rehab. We literally just break down our entire rehab process, his, mine. So if you want to hear an hour and 15 of like the details of exactly what we went through, go peep that because and we did it so early that we didn't know
yeah.
we were so raw. We were just telling everything like fucking. I don't even remember what we said, but I just remember people reacted to that and they were like, "Oh my god, that was a crazy fucking episode. Jesus Christ, you guys went through that." We're like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
So,
people ask. I always refer them
Yeah.
to episode 17.
So check that out because obviously
yeah.
we're not going to go through
No,
a fucking
right.
hour of it here, but we do get into detail about it in that.
And that's
episode.
But as
yeah,
far
and
as
that's why I
support-
said
oh, no,
before
sorry,
is
go
like rehab is rehab. So
Yeah. You're going to hear like similar stories for anybody that goes to rehab. But
Right.
as far as support system, fuck, man. I mean, for starters, I couldn't have gone if it wasn't for 3 people. My pops, my sister, Jess, and her husband, because the 3 of them actually put up the fucking money to go. So with the 3 of them right off the bat, I was just like, wow, even though I fucked up, they want me to get help and I needed it. So forever grateful for all of them. And I would get a fucking phone call. The both of you guys knew my pops, obviously, on some level. So my pops, my first night there, I'm walking downstairs just from out of the bathroom, and I'm already feeling it because I already did 4 days of detox without any. You can usually take methadone or Suboxone, which are drugs that'll help you wean off while
Call
you're
them detox drugs.
detox drugs. They didn't have either at my detox, and I just found that out when I set foot into detox. I'm going, oh, great. These next 4 days are going to be fucking fun. So anyway, I'm in rehab, and I'm coming down from the bathroom, constantly just having the runs like you couldn't imagine. Come down, and I hear the front desk lady getting into an argument almost over the phone. And I hear her, and she's like, no, oh, I'm so sorry. We can't do that. I'm so sorry. Mr. Passero, and I'm like, of course, it's my fucking dad. So he has her on the phone. He's saying, I want to talk to my son. And she didn't know. I just got there fucking 2 hours ago. He called all the time. I called him all the time. Unfortunately, he could not come up to our family day, but my brother Rob and sister Jen did, which I owe them just as much as anybody that I owe because they showed so much support, just like the rest of my family. But they came up. But my dad could not come up because he was in the hospital from a stroke. And what really got me, whether you know this or not, JR, he actually passed the day I got home from rehab.
I didn't know it happened that day, but I did know that he had passed, yeah.
And I got home that night, and I got to see him for a couple hours, and then he passed early. Well, sorry, in the next few days he passed, but he was in a coma. But I got to see him for a little bit. But when I got home, I didn't know what the fuck to expect, but I did know that I had my 2 sisters, a brother, and a mom that were gonna do whatever they had to do just to make me feel comfortable. And they were constantly asking like, hey, I know it's kind of weird, but is there anything we can do? I'm just like, guys, you've done enough. Like you just being here. If I had to go somewhere and I had to be in a fucking halfway house for 2 months, I would have relapsed. It's not even a question. But to be with family and to actually have that support system goes fucking miles, because I met so many people, and I'm sure he did in rehab too, of people who just didn't have a support system, and they're there because it's a court mandated thing. They're most likely back in the system or dead. Right. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yep.
But the love that I felt, even just over the phone every day from my pops, he would not fucking let that payphone run empty. He was calling all the time. So I knew my friends will be my friends. They're going to be there when I'm out. Right now, I needed my family. So with those select few people, man, they really did save me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not gonna because he kind of said it all. I agree with everything he just said. My only thing is that if you're an addict, if anyone's listening to this and they want to get clean or they have a family that's reaching out and like, hey man, like you are lucky, bro, because there's one kid specifically in rehab that I met who was homeless and he was fucking my age, bro, and he had no family. And I was just going in the whole time in my head, I'm just going, this kid's not going to make it. And I love him. And I only knew him for 3 weeks. And I'm like, I fucking love this kid, but I know he's not going to make it because he doesn't have a family. And it fucking sucks. I really think, just from personal experience, you need a good core family / friends, a couple of good friends in your family. Because if you don't, the only other thing to do is to numb your pain with anything, drugs, alcohol, whatever you're going to do. So I am just forever indebted to my family, my mom, my dad, both my brothers. My little brother actually called my parents out when we were in Florida for that weekend saying, hey, if you don't think he's fucking using drugs, you're insane. And they were like, yeah, you're fucking insane. And he made them like intervene. Like he basically, like caused the intervention. So I love my little brother for that, dude. And my dad stayed down in Florida the entire time I was there. They had a house in Orlando. I was in West Palm. He fucking drove back and forth. It's like an hour or whatever. Drove back and forth, dropping me off like, cigarettes. They gave me a DVD player in there because I literally was the only one who wasn't sleeping. So I would wander around our men's unit the entire night, just walking around, smoking cigarettes, like laying in one room, going to the community room. And they're like, you gotta sleep, bro. And I'm like, well, give me like a DVD player or something because I'm going nuts sitting in my room going crazy.
Right.
And of course, I call my dad. All right, man, went to fucking Best Buy, buys a portable DVD player, buys 10 DVD, like shit that, like, I am so appreciative that he did that for me because to do that is the real test, right? Like that's the real time, family deaths, addicts, houses burning down, like tragedies. Those are the real tests of family. So if you don't have a good support system, it's really tough to make it. And they are the reason why I got clean and why I am clean, because I literally, and I mean this when I say this, I could not have had a better family during this entire process. Could not have had anything better. Could not have every opportunity. I had everything I needed to succeed. So if I didn't succeed, I'm the fucking idiot. I'm the asshole, and I don't deserve to be clean. So that's what I'd say about SSs. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Support systems, baby.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Drugs, man. You know? Drugs.
Crazy.
Can't live with them.
No.
Well, no, yeah, you definitely can't. You're right.
And it's still a struggle. Right? It's like,
yeah.
You know, I'm 6 years, you're 8 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's easier, but it's like you try to fill it with things, with like better things.
So talk about that a little bit, right? So like every day, because you've been sober for 6 years, you've been sober for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it like you're still addicted, right? Like that's
100%.
That's the thing is once you're an addict forever. It's just a matter.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of how you handle that addiction. So
what you're addicted to. Yes, exactly.
Right.
So I not during COVID, but I'd go to Mohegan all the fucking time, bro. Right? Like that was like, hey man, I'm gonna go. If I lose fucking $500 or if I win fucking $1,000, this is great. It was like a way to ease the not doing drugs. Like, oh, let me go play cards for a fucking couple hours, right? That's better than sniffing pills, right? Oh, let's focus. You have to try to fill your time and your mind with other things. A perfect world, I'm going to get addicted to jogging. I'm going to get addicted. That's bullshit. It will never be as good, right, as drugs. So you can try to get addicted to as many things as you want. Nothing's going to fill that hole that drugs filled. But for me, why I'm clean is because when I got clean, I was finally like comfortable in my own skin, and I didn't think I was going to die by the time I was 30. So for me, it was a doom thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm different. I got type 1 diabetes. I'm going to lose a foot. I'm going to go blind. I'm going to die by the time I'm 30. Might as well be a fucking heroin addict and go out fucking having fun. That was my mentality from the freshman year. The earliest I can remember, that was my mentality. And to get out of that mentality, rehab helped me. And then just being like, oh shit, wait, I'm not going to die. I'm okay. life is not doom and gloom, and fuck this like live fast, die young bullshit and this rock star lifestyle. Fuck all that, bro. That is the wrong way to live, man. So for me, it was about getting out of that doom and that, oh my God, like I'm not going to be a retiree at 75 and, have a 401k and blah, 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 blah. I'm an addict. That's it. That's my identity. I'm a fucking drug addict. So when you get clean, you don't have an identity. You're like, wait, that was my identity. So now 6 years later, I'm like, no, I'm comfortable. I've never been more comfortable in my own skin than I have been my entire life to this day right now. Like right now and right now and right now. Like,
it gets better. It gets better each day.
100%, man. That's just for me personally of why I kind of started and then why I'm kind of like a lot happier now is that for that specific reason is because I'm like way more comfortable now.
So I wanted to touch on something that you'd said and backtrack for a minute because you had said that obviously not during COVID because, we're in the middle of a pandemic and the world is crazy. But you had said you were going to Mohegan a lot, right? And you were gambling and now that is something that you can be addicted to, right? Like there is Gamblers Anonymous. So
fuck yeah.
Was that something that you were able to do responsibly? Like in the sense of like, I have a budget. I know that this is fun money and I can take this fun money to Mohegan and once it's out, that's it. Right? Like I'm not hitting up the ATM for $500 more.
Okay. Well, no,
because it's a slippery slope, right?
No, and how many times have I come back on this podcast after going to like Atlantic City or going to Mohegan and going, dude, the fucking addict came out of me because it does come out of you, right? So it's not like I'd go up there with like a budget of like, if I lose 500, I'm going to stop. It was more, I know I'm going to go up to Mohegan, but I'm not going to come back for 2-3 months. See what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm going to have my fun now because I'm not coming back for 2 months, 3 months. So it wasn't like while I'm there, I wasn't worried about what was going on. It was like filling a fix. It was basically getting my fix. And there were times where I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm down like a grand. Let me take out another grand from the ATM. And I've lost, a couple $1,000 and it sucks and I hate it. And that feeling of driving home sucks. And that's when you go, oh yeah, now I remember what being a drug addict was like. Right. It's like after you get high or after you're out of pills, whatever, you're like, this sucks, dude.
You're on your way home going, oh, that's right, I'm an addict.
That's right, dude. I can't do this every day. So if I was going to Mohegan every week and like, then that's a problem. Right. But it's more of like, that's a normal thing. People go to Mohegan 4 times a year. Like that's a normal thing. So as long as I treated it like that, I was fine. So for me, that was a big thing of like, but ultimately, I need to have fun, you know?
Right. Ultimately, you weren't doing anything while you were there that was detrimental to your current lifestyle.
Not at all.
Like, even though the addict might have came out and you went back and you hit up the ATM for another grand, but you didn't empty your bank accounts because you just had to keep gambling.
And I didn't get depressed and go, let me go buy a bag of cocaine right now because I'm depressed. See what I'm saying?
Right.
No,
I'm down $2,000. Let me go get some pills.
100%. It never did that. That's what, because I was up there strictly to gamble and have fun. That's it.
You were in the mindset of, I'm here to have fun. Whatever's going to happen has happened. I'm gambling. If I lose $2,000, I lose $2,000 because that's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here. And I'm not going to sulk over it and be like, wow, I need a pill right now because I just lost. No. It was like, I went up there expecting that. But that's a good question because I can see how a casino in general is just like a very like addictive place.
It's a detrimental place if you're an
alcohol.
addict.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And luckily, I've never had a problem with alcohol. I really don't even drink. Like, I've had a couple beers since I've been clean, 6 years. Like, I'll go out, have like a beer or two a couple times a year on my birthday or whatever. I haven't had a drink in fucking 8 months. Like, I've just never had a problem with it. So if I was an alcoholic or whatever, I could see at Mohegan getting into trouble because you're getting free drinks and you could sit at a card table and you're just getting drink. So if I was an alcoholic, I probably would not go to Mohegan as much as I do. I just realized that now. So yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
right?
It's very easy to fall. I'm sure. Like, I'm not one to talk because I'm not an addict. I haven't been through what you guys have gone through.
Yeah,
but
again, must be nice. No, I'm just kidding.
No. But like, I'm sure it's very easy to fall into old habits, right? That's what rehab is for. I think that kind of speaks to you guys and your support system is like you were able to put yourself in a mindset where you still knew you needed some kind of a fix, right? So you went to Mohegan and you did what you did. But at the same time, you were able to put yourself in a mindset where it's not, you're able to enter that atmosphere and environment and it not ruin you.
There's a line, right? And it's like I knew I wasn't going to cross that line. Dude, and my parents would be like, oh, let's go to Mohegan. I go to Mohegan with my parents. So it's like it was a thing that it wasn't this sneaky thing where it's like, oh, I'm going away, which is what drugs is. It's like, I'm sneaking to the bathroom because I got to go do pills. This is my thing by myself. So, but I'll tell you right now, man, I'm not promoting it, but Mohegan, dude, it fills that fix, bro, for me. Like, it really does. I'll get a room in Mohegan, they'll give me a free room. I'm like, oh, this is great. By the end, I'm like, wasn't free, dude. I just lost like $1,800. So it was like kind of $1,800 room, whatever.
Yeah.
But I had fun in those 2 days, man. Yeah. And it gives me a rush. We're addicts. We need things to make us feel good, right? Just like you do. Like, just like everybody needs things that make them feel good and releases and pleasures and all this kind of shit. But we just have a line and we know where we've been and we can't go there again. I've been talking a lot. I don't want to keep talking. I'm sorry, bro.
No, man.
Go.
You're killing it with the drug addict talk. So I appreciate it.
We love drug addicts. So,
we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
Did you fill it with any? Because,
I mean, hey, look, man. Look. I'd say I recently got back into making music. That's a separate story, and that just kind of took a while. And I just remember we were sitting there, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, wait, why for the last 8 years wasn't I doing this?"
Yes.
And sometimes you just forget, or sometimes you just kind of you're not motivated. I honestly would say because I didn't drink or I didn't do anything like that. Who doesn't love a little caffeine? You know what I'm saying, dude?
Bro.
Yeah, I was a full-blown 5-hour energy addict. Mikey still is, but caffeine's fine. Caffeine promotes better brain health. But anyway.
People drink coffee. Yeah, it's
all the
fucking
time.
caffeine.
I would say, if we're going to get like personal and deep, I would say busting nuts.
Yeah.
Obviously you got to do it, but I think I would do it to an extreme, whether it was masturbation and or sex. Not like these people that are showing up to fucking sex addict anonymous. Like, guys, look, nothing's wrong with you. Just go bang and go bust.
Yeah.
I would say that was a big one.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
The average person is going to want, like you just said, the average person is going to want to do things that make them feel good. But if you tell me that something feels good and I know it feels good, I'm going to do it to an extreme. And I think that's what really
is our problem. That's our problem.
100%.
And the thing about it, JR, is like, oh fuck, was I just gonna say? We're just talking about busting nuts, right? Yeah. I was gonna say, fuck, I had such a good sentence to say, and then I agree with you, and I fucking lost it.
Oh, and you know all about it because you just had a kid, man.
Yeah,
so
just had a kid, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Whatever, man. Move past it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is what I was gonna say. So, what I look at it now is when it comes to addiction, or if you're addicted to anything, people are addicted to millions of things, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm addicted to watching movies, okay?
Yeah.
I'm addicted to podcasting. I'm addicted to whatever, right? Where it becomes a problem is the effects that it's having on your life. So look at something and go, what is this thing doing to my life right now? Is it making it better? Is it making it worse? So someone could be a gambling addict. They're fucking worth $10 million and they're winning every poker tournament, right?
Right.
So do they have a problem? Like, do they have a problem? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's an old lady who takes 2 oxycodones every single day because of her pain. She's addicted to that substance, but what's it doing? It's making her quality of life better because she's in pain all the time.
Right.
So it's this fucking weird gray area where you can't just define addiction as this horrible bad thing. You just can't, because every single person is addicted to something. Where it becomes a problem is, what is it doing to your life? Is it ruining it? Is it making your quality of life better? Okay? Because there was not one time where I was using, for the 10 years I was using, did it make my life better? Not one time. Not one time. Momentarily, 100%. Did it make my life better? No way.
Right.
Not one time.
Because you're losing your job.
Everybody's looking for a dopamine rush.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, is like, look at social media now. They say like the generation, the generation under us is like addicted to social media because getting likes releases dopamine. The more likes 100%. You get, the more dopamine you're getting, and it's a fix for them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think it's
perfect example. It's like, what is some of the social media doing to these kids' lives nowadays, right? It's ruining some of these teenagers. People are girls are killing themselves, right?
For
social media.
Yeah.
It's
now,
fucking crazy.
better. I think because I thought of it, I think it's an even better question.
I love it.
What is this? How does that transition as they grow up, right? So like they're at 12, 10, 11, 12 years old looking for a dopamine fix from likes.
Yep.
If marijuana is a gateway drug,
Yeah.
social media is a
Social
fucking
media.
gateway drug.
It's a
I
good
like
point,
that.
man. That's because we were getting dopamine rushes by going outside and climbing trees, right?
Yeah.
And like playing with our friends outside.
Bike
like
rides.
it wasn't. We didn't have this cell phone with this shit that we were thing, and it's this obsession that they have. And I think they're just not going to mature and be ready. Not that they're all going to be drug addicts, but I just don't.
No, but
think
I
they're going to be.
I think it's going to open that door quicker. I think
could.
they'll be more likely to get addicted to a drug because they're already getting the dopamine fix. They're looking for a dopamine fix.
Well,
You know
you're
what
not
I
gonna
mean?
give
So,
a
like-
fuck about likes when you're fucking sniffing oxy up your nose, right? You're
So
still
they'll
like,
get to.
But that's the thing is, so like now, okay, so they've grown up their whole life looking for that fix from social media. Now you go to a party, somebody offers you this drug. This drug gives you that feeling you're getting from likes times a million.
right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right.
But to play devil's advocate, and I'm a big devil's advocate guy.
DA.
I am too,
Maybe-
actually. I love that.
Right? Maybe they are like, nah, you know what? I'm just going to go on Instagram because they get that rush from Instagram and they don't need to go smoke weed and shit because it's all coming from Instagram.
Also a possibility.
So, hey, man, if their follower count goes down and then they get real depressed, then they might go look for that dopamine rush. But if they're so entranced with this fucking app and likes and hearts, and maybe they'll just want Kim Kardashian is their idol, and that's what they want to be, right? And I don't even know if she's like the number one thing in the world
probably
anymore,
still is.
or
I
like
don't
if
know.
someone
I
else
think
is.
aren't they getting divorced though? That was the big thing.
That's the word on the
I
street,
don't know.
yo.
But anyway, I'm just saying maybe they won't go towards drugs because their drug is social media and they think that's the real world and it ain't.
But what about the poor soul, right? Who all of a sudden out of nowhere is getting all these likes. They're like, oh my God, I'm blowing up. And then they start doing drugs. Now it's just like you're getting the best of both worlds. Right?
Yeah.
You're getting satisfied on both ends.
Oh,
You're fucked.
Oh,
But
yeah. Oh,
just
10,000
like-
likes.
Just like what you guys had said, at some point, it's going to run out.
100%. No
Dude,
question.
your likes are going to run out. Your followers are going to run out.
That's it.
And your drugs are going to run out.
That's it. And I agree to you where it's like it's creating addicts earlier, 100%. It's creating addicts
Yes.
earlier.
I'm very
100%.
curious to see where it leads, but I also like don't want to see where it leads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like I'm
Yeah.
afraid of where it's going to lead.
You just had a kid, so it's like in 13 years, right?
Right.
Like, what's it going to be like in 13 years when
My wife and I
here's
have
a cell phone,
already
yeah.
had conversations about it.
Wow.
Like we've had
That's
conversations
wow.
about like screen time.
Yep.
When is the right time for him to have a cell phone? When is
Right.
and like personally, I think like I want to just let him have the same route that I had. Because when we grew
Yes.
up, our first phone was a fucking Nokia
Nokia.
brick where you could only
100%,
get
dude.
the only game you had was Snake.
Snake.
Yeah,
and it was
dude.
fun. And it was fun
Snake
as fuck.
was
It was
awesome.
absolutely fun,
man.
But it
Yeah.
was,
was great.
You couldn't text
That's it.
yet. There wasn't a text
Nope.
message on the first phones. You could
Right.
call. You could play Snake. Then you got a flip phone, and the flip
Yeah.
phone had a camera, and the flip phone had texting, but you had to hit every button 16 times in order to get a fucking sentence.
We didn't even have text in high school, bro. Like
Right.
when I go back to high school, we were all like next telling. We weren't like, oh, where are you
it's
guarding
like
catering?
the texting
we were
wasn't even
just
a thing
chirp,
yet.
chirp, where you at?
just started when we were in high school.
That's
I
right.
remember,
Just
I
started.
had that brick phone that flipped up that had the keyboard underneath it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
sidekick
yeah,
and
yeah,
shit or
yeah.
whatever.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
the sidekick. The sidekick like flipped out.
Oh,
this
that
one
was
an
later. That was
actual.
later.
It was the Verizon V phone.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I remember those.
Wow, dude.
Dude, I remember hating when texting became, and again, I probably didn't like start texting till like 19.
Yeah,
right?
so it's
And you're just
exactly.
like, you're going through all
Yep.
the digits to get
Yeah.
to the
Horrible.
letter. You had to get so good at doing it.
T9. You had to learn T9. It was its own language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yup.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
right.
I think
Fuck.
that like I would rather him go through something like that where he's gradually introduced to it.
Yeah.
as opposed to
But
just.
it-
and
it's
I
gonna
know
be
it's
hard,
hard
though.
because like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of his
okay.
friends are gonna have it.
Boy in the bubble. He's
even
gonna see the
school.
boy in the bubble, right? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard, man.
School's going to be on nothing but tablets by the time. I mean, who the fuck knows
Right,
what
and
it's going to
that's-
be at the time when your son's 13? I mean, forget
That's
about
the
it.
other thing. So like, there's
Yeah.
you can have all these conversations you want, but like
Right.
at some point it's a necessity,
Absolutely.
and it's just
listen,
like how do you
wanna,
do it?
Yeah, and like when he's 10, right, and he wants to go like play with his friend or whatever, like you'd rather have something on him where you can go, oh, where is he right now? You know, but then you're like, shit. Wait, I'm giving him like a phone. Like,
Right.
Can I just put a
I know
tracker
where
up
he is
his-
at all times, but at the same
Yeah.
time, he's on Instagram for 7 hours.
Exactly.
Yo.
And goddamn, dude, that is But listen, you got a lot of years,
Oh,
so
yeah, you got
you got a
time.
lot of years
I,
for that.
I am prepared
yeah.
somewhat because I at least have a mesh. My whole house is a smart home, and I have a mesh
Okay.
system, so
Oh, nice.
I can kick off individual items from the Wi-Fi.
Oh, it's perfect,
Nice.
dude.
I don't,
Oh, yeah,
have,
perfect.
I don't have to just kill
Yeah.
the Wi-Fi and then everybody suffers. I can just find
you
all
can
this
knock
stuff
them
and
off.
knock them off.
Oh my god,
That's the
great.
benefit we have too.
Planning
though, is that
ahead.
We
Yes.
came from before the explosion. Like we saw when the internet wasn't
Yep.
a thing, but then we all just naturally, our age group, we just know how to work devices.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's just us. So we're gonna have control over stuff like that. And a perfect example, like your kids, like your nieces and stuff like that. So that's a good way to look at it. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. So,
It's awesome.
but all right. Well, this has been amazing and informative and
Super fun.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
I mean,
fantastic. Super fun.
I'm just upset that we haven't done something like this sooner.
I know.
But I also
You
didn't
gotta
have
come
this
on.
podcast sooner.
Our podcast.
I
though,
100%
at some
want to
point,
come
man.
on your podcast.
I'm just saying.
It's
bro,
I mean,
called
like,
the
this is
dude.
practically 2 Dopeless Hope Fiends.
yeah, this is what we
If
do.
you want to
but
just
the
do a
thing
cross
is-
episode because
Yeah. No, but the
it's
thing
really
is
just
though.
you guys talking.
No, but I want but like that's the thing. I want you to come on. So like, obviously you have interest and this and that, and you can tell your. We always say, hey, tell your story and this and that, but like. You vibe with us. So what I'm saying is you'd be a good guest on our
yeah.
show.
100%. I'd
and
love to.
you didn't talk enough to be a guest on our show is what I'm trying to say,
yeah.
right? Like we talk way too much. So I wish I could just be like, oh yeah, this is episode 411 with JR, you know, but no. Like you got to come on, bro.
Yeah.
And it be legit.
Well, this is
'cause,
also the design of this podcast, right? You guys are supposed to do all the talking.
Yeah. Listen, dude, this was fun,
This
bro.
was awesome, man. Yeah.
So before we
This
wrap
was
up,
great.
I want to just plug anything and everything from you guys, right? So
Sure.
we have 2 Dopeless Hope Fiends podcast, which is on iTunes
and YouTube.
and YouTube.
And YouTube. Yep.
What's the YouTube channel?
What we say is all you need to do is search 2Dopeless. So if you can see
All
it
one
right
word?
here. Yeah, all one word, 2Dopeless on anything, on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, whatever. Just search 2Dopeless and you'll get all our channels. And then
Instagram. Too.
Instagram, 2Dopeless, same thing.
Okay.
And I'm Mike Dopeless on Instagram. He's Mikey Pass on Instagram.
Mikey Passero.
Sorry.
I wish.
Oh, sorry.
I wish it was Mikey Pass.
I thought you did Mikey.
Oh, I was taken. Some
it was
fucker had
taken.
it.
Yeah, you're right.
Some fucker had Mikey
Pass.
Mikey
bitch.
Passero, Mike Dopeless, 2Dopeless, and Fiends Watch. If you guys are into movies, all right, we love that's what we
yeah.
love, right?
Absolutely.
Our movies and shows. It's just something that we're cinephiles, not
Yep.
pedophiles, cinephiles, right?
Cinna.
Very clear.
Very, very
Cinna.
strong emphasis on cinna.
Files.
Cinna.
And we love it. And if you're into that at all, search. If you want to watch us, hey man, we look kind of all right. Go to our YouTube. If you want to listen to it, just search Fiends Watch on the podcast app. And we've done a lot of fucking new movie. Every new movie that pretty much has come out in the past year, we've done.
Since Game of Thrones ended, because
Yeah.
that's why we started Fiends
You,
Watch.
you
Yeah,
guys
was the
have
last
needed
season.
something.
Well, no. We started Fiends
Yeah, right.
Watch because Night's Watch, right? We did Fiends
Yep.
Watch. Like we started by reviewing Game of Thrones season 8. We go, oh, let's review every episode. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be the
So we'll
final
do-
season of one of the best
And
shows
then
ever.
it was like, oh, this is the worst shit ever. Okay, all right.
We
and
can
then,
talk about that because I disagree, but we can talk about that
Oh,
when I'm a guest
we
on
will
your
on our show.
Wow.
But that's what's great, right?
I don't think the whole season was bad. I just have problems with the
Major.
way it ended. But
Major.
wow, you got to come on ASAP.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
So
know
that's the
what
thing is
fuck you're
that's
talking
where I
about, dude.
disagree with you.
In the
Okay.
last episode?
Yes.
All right,
no,
save it for our
dude.
show. Save it for our
We'll
show.
save it. We'll save it for your show.
Shit.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Fuck, man. So, guys, look forward to that. Okay, it's going to be
All
on
right.
our 2DopeLess shit. JR's coming on,
Oh, yeah.
and we are debating the fuck out of Game of Thrones Season 8.
I can't
my
wait.
God.
I can't wait.
Fuck addiction. I wish we just talked about that for this whole fucking episode, man. God damn.
100%, man.
Fuck.
All right,
Nah,
fellas.
looking
Well,
forward
thank
to
you
it,
so
Tom.
much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us, bro. This has been a
was
blast. We only
my
touched
pleasure.
the surface of our
Yes.
addiction. If you guys want to hear more, check out our podcast. We talk about it all the fucking time.
Absolutely.
And
Definitely check these guys out because they are very fun to listen to. Me personally love the games that you guys play when,
Yeah,
when you have
dude.
guests
Thanks,
on and
dude.
everything. It's so
Yes,
much fun.
dude. Thanks, man.
Wait till you're playing those games, my man.
I know.
Yeah, dude.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. Yo,
all
listen. Yeah, I'm just going to say this, dude. I love that we both do podcasts, right? We're both into it. We went to high school together.
Yep.
We've known each other for a long, long, long time. It's dope that we just kind of reconnected over something like this.
Yeah.
Right.
So I appreciate you reaching out and getting us on here, man, because this was super fun. And thanks for having us, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for coming on. I'm JR Supa, and this has been Someone Else's Shoes. We'll see you next time.